Redo. Hey, Jackson, the show. Aw.
We're here. We're a little late, but we're here. We're serving the purpose. We're gonna get Big Ten out to you quick, fast, and in a hurry because we have a meeting today and we all have to be at it. So that's pretty important. So let's go ahead and start talking right now. Big Ten, the favorite to win it all is Ohio State, and let's just be real. That's pretty much accurate. I'm not going to lay the juice minus 230 on it. It would be interesting to take the over because it's plus 145 with the win total sitting at 11.5. And I feel like, they could definitely lose a game or two. So, betting that over doesn't really doesn't do anything for me. Obviously, you still have CJ Stroud, beastly. You have a beast wide receiver. This team is stacked and is going to do some big things this year. Do you agree or disagree?
I think this, the top half of the Big Ten is kind of wide open. I know a lot of people think that Ohio State is a team to beat, and I'm not disagreeing that they shouldn't be the odds-on favorite. I'm just kind of sick of all the Ohio State love, Megan. Like we've still got Wisconsin. We're going to talk about our fearless leaders, alma mater, Michigan. Nobody wants to give anybody love named Iowa. I get it. But Ohio State, everybody pumped the brakes here. I think they're a little overpriced. And while, yes, they deserve to be the favorite, $2, no. Little too pricey for me. I do think it could come down to Ohio State, Michigan. They play each other really late again this year. They could both be 11-0 going into that Big Ten championship game. And I'll tell you this much right now. In that Big Ten championship game, Ohio State will not be minus 250 over Michigan. So somebody riddle me that one.
All right. So you are not laying the minus 230 with Ohio State. You feel like the conference, or at least the top half of it, is pretty wide open. I also don't have an official play here. So let's go ahead and get to Michigan, aka the Big Ten champs. Obviously, I didn't expect that to happen last year. I think we were both kind of like each week, the more it happened, the more Michigan kept winning. We were like, aren't they supposed to lose at some point? This team just wasn't built to be a winner, but yet they did it anyway. You got them sitting at 9.5. The overs minus 129. I have them sitting right at 9 games. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. I'm not willing to take the under. It's plus 100. I'm leaning there. I haven't placed my bet yet. I just think we're gonna see some regression from this team. You got a new D coordinator. I don't even know who has the quarterback job right now. There's just lots of question marks for a team that, in my opinion, got lucky last year. Thoughts on Michigan, Kel?
I just realized I misspoke, Megan. I meant they would both be possibly being 11-0 into their rivalry game, and then the winner gets into the Big Ten championship game. Either way, Ohio State is not going to be a $2 favorite over Michigan. It's probably closer to minus 150, but we'll see, because you're right. This Michigan team is the biggest question mark, right? Last season, I got completely embarrassed in Ann Arbor when I was there with everybody with the college football show. I took a really crappy Washington team plus the points, thought that they could win outright, and Michigan ran all over their asses. And that is what they should be able to do again this year. But as you mentioned,
their first four games all seem extremely winnable. Very.
I mean, listen, they opened as 27.5-point favorites to start the season. I think they're going to have another really solid season. And I do think that they'll be able to give Ohio State a run for their money, but that's only because I'm not as high on Ohio State as everybody else. This should be, by all means, a solid Michigan team. They should go over their season win total. I'm just not running to the window to bet this, right? So you mentioned they're missing both of their coordinators. That running back that just absolutely obliterated that Washington defense last year is gone. So you have to kind of think about what this team is going to do. If it was Alabama, the correct answer is they reload. They never rebuild. I do think Michigan may take a small step backwards this year, but it's still to be seen. I think they're the biggest question mark for me here in the Big Ten.
Well, I can tell you one thing that's not a question mark, and that's where I'm putting my money and where you're putting your money, and that's over at Skrill. Skrill is the best digital wallet for gamblers because it was built for gamblers. Sophisticated gamblers like you and I use it to manage our bankroll, whether we're playing games like poker or betting on our favorite sports or futures like the Big Ten here. You can manage your bankroll using the wallet, which allows you to pay instantly and securely. It's payments without limits, basically. You can access your bankroll with an instant deposit and withdrawal, and you can also draw the cash using your prepaid card, which is my favorite part. Who doesn't like to get their cash out? Let's just say Skrill is the best digital wallet for sports bettors, so it's a no-brainer to create your free account right now. Make sure you sign up at skrill.com/barstool. That's skrill.com/barstool to create your free account and complete the account verification by clicking following the game. So make sure to sign up skrill.com/barstool. Make your free account verification clicking by following the game after registering so you can start using your digital wallet today. So that's really important. Go put your money there. And we're on to Penn State, which I was looking, we were talking about super scorching hot takes. And one of my hot takes was going to be that Franklin would get fired mid-season. But then I looked at and saw his contract. And if he were to get fired, it'd be a $72 million buyout. And that's fucking pricey. So that was not my hot take. Look, you have Penn State with the returning quarterback in Clifford. Should give the team some stability, but I am not high on this Penn State team this year. With their win total is sitting at 8.5. I like the under here, which is -134. I don't like to pay a ton of juice, but I mean, I think that's reasonably priced. I'm not going to pay like -150. I think my limit on futures is like, I'll say 135 since this is 134. But I'm not excited about this Penn State team this year. I know a lot of people really like Clifford and, have him like dark horse Heisman, which I think is absolutely insane. But what do you think about Penn State this year? I mean, they have to play Ohio State, they have to play Michigan and Auburn, and that's like 3 losses right there. So what do you think, El?
Yeah, Megan, I'm with you here. Now, while I do think Clifford is a pretty decent quarterback, he got hurt last year against Iowa, if you guys remember correctly. He's got to stay healthy. Otherwise, this Penn State team might be in a world of hurt, right? The Big Ten East is so much more of a monster than the Big Ten West. You have Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, and I think you could even make a case, let's just be honest, for a couple other little scrappy teams on that side of things. I know Indiana's going to have a down year, and I understand that Rutgers sucks, and we'll get to them later. But that being said, I think that this is a tie for third place for Penn State. Can they supersede expectations like they did last year? I'm not sure. They won 11 games last year, kind of shocked everybody, pulled off some upsets. I'm not high on this Penn State team who only returns 4 guys on defense. Defense is what really kind of helped keep them in the game last year, several games last year, and helped them pull off a couple wins. I just don't see it happening this year. I think that they, on the defensive side of the ball, that is, have a lot of ground to make up, and we'll see. So you always know, I love taking the better defense plus the points. The Penn State underdog role from last year is going to be gone this year. And I'm just not sure who thinks that they're going to finish third in the Big Ten East. I have them finishing 4th, if not 5th.
I'm with you. I'm not high on Penn State. Doesn't sound like you are either. Let's move on to Wisconsin. They had a fantastic end to their season last season. I think, let's see. Oh, they had the win over Arizona State in the bowl game. I don't remember what bowl that was. Was that the Vegas Bowl? Is that what it was? But all I'm saying is, for this team specifically, Mertz has to do better this year. They have to just do a better job. I believe I saw something along the lines of he threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns last season. He fumbled it multiple times. I just feel like this Wisconsin team can be good this year. They can be. And with there are some players that are missing from the defense, but I think that they can fill those holes. And if Mertz, as I said, can be better, this Wisconsin team can be good. What is their win total sitting at? 8.5. The over's -143 there. So, I mean, obviously the bookmakers are telling us they think that this is going to go over, and they want you to pay money just to make sure that, they have some insurance. I don't know if this is a 9-win team. I think it definitely can be, but it all depends on Mertz. If Mertz has a season like he did last season where he's just literally gifting the ball to the other team,
I was just getting ready to say that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna if they're gonna be a 9-win team, but I'm excited to see the good old Wisconsin ground and pound. What do you think about Whiskey this year? Do you think that they can? Do you think 9 wins is attainable? And do you like them plus 1,300 to win the Big Ten?
Listen, Jack said to come with the hot takes, and I wanted to have a hot take about Michigan, and then my actual brain came in and said, Kelly, stop being ridiculous. And then I wanted to have a hot take against Wisconsin, and I felt the same way.
Why are you
I think that Iowa is probably the number 1 team in the West here. I know, again, I already said Ohio State gets all the love, of course, in the Big Ten. And this Wisconsin team on paper, Megan, looks like it could be one of the best teams of all time. I do not trust Graham Mertz. You nailed it. I went to 2 different Wisconsin games last year, and he literally is a turnover machine. Now, Paul Chryst, I do think is a good coach. I do think that it is a 2-horse race here in the West. It's Iowa and Wisconsin. So either one of those teams could face potentially either Ohio State or Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. Again, I don't think that Ohio State would be as priced as high as they are against Wisconsin. I'd probably have them minus 4.5 to 6.5 on a neutral field, given what things are as they stand today. Is Wisconsin capable of putting together 60 minutes of good college football? That is my question. Last year, they started off 1-2, and it was just like, what are you guys doing? You and I were at the Notre Dame game, remember? Somehow I cashed that over. And that was because of Graham Mertz. Thank you, Graham Mertz. And I forget who the kid was for Notre Dame that threw that last interception. That being said, I'm not high on our producer Jack's Badgers. Sorry, Big Cat. I do think that they have the opportunity to win the West, and that's just because it's not as deep as the East, right? I think there's a 4-horse race in the East. I think it's pretty much Wisconsin and Iowa out of the West, unless somehow PJ Fleck pulls something out of his ass, which he hasn't done for a long time.
That's where we're going at some point. That's my hot take is coming. All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on to Nebraska. You got old Scott Frost. You got a new offensive coordinator who made Kenny Pickett the beast he was last year. But what happened? Their quarterback left to become your quarterback. So not really sure what's happening there. You got a pretty good, strong receiving core here in Nebraska. And usually they're, run heavy. So I'm excited to see how they split this up here. And kind of like, I forget who we were talking about the other day, who just it was a defensive-minded team that just got an O coordinator. I don't remember who it was, but I'm excited to see how they're going to really split that up. And that's what I'm looking at here. Nebraska's sitting at 8 wins. The over is plus money. Under is minus 159. I would lean the under on this Nebraska team just because I feel like this is going to be kind of an adjustment year for Nebraska, just trying to figure things out. I'm not high on Nebraska. What are your thoughts on Scott Frost and what's his name? Whipple? Is that his name? No, that was.
Sorry, Will Compton. Nebraska's not back until they show me otherwise, right? Scott Frost has been on the hot seat for what it feels like 3 years now. You mentioned Adrian Martinez transferred to K-State. I do think he's going to do better there. We already talked about it on Monday, but we'll see how that actually pans out with a decent O-line. This Nebraska team, as I was just making fun of Wisconsin, is one of the worst turnover margin teams in the Big Ten. It is absolutely disgusting. This team has lots of talent, lots of ability. They have 22 kids that just transferred there, Megan. Their schedule is super weak. This should just be a layup for Scott Frost to save his job, and I'm still not sure that as double-digit favorites, they can get out of Dublin with a win. That's on Saturday, by the way. They're 13.5-point favorites currently at the Barstool Sportsbook over Northwestern. I get it. Northwestern sucks, but Nebraska is not good enough to be a 2-touchdown favorite on a neutral field over anybody, and do not forget it.
I will not forget it. I will remind you, we're T-minus 9 minutes, so let's get through this. Iowa up next is plus 1,800 to win the conference, and their win total sits at 7.5. I like the over 7.5 here, minus 118. This Iowa team was very surprising last year. Every time they won a game, I kept wondering how, because they didn't fucking pass the ball. They had no offense. All they did was run, and play defense. But this year, looks like we could get a little offense going. Maybe is Petrus, I think, is still there, right? Yeah, Petrus is still there. Hopefully they've been working with him in the offseason a lot. Again, I think this Iowa team, I know they're not necessarily a reload team, but I think they are the type of team that fills their holes correctly and efficiently. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people again this year. I like Iowa over the 7.5 win total, not to win the conference or anything. I don't have a hot take on Iowa, but I do like them over 7.5. Thoughts?
Yeah, Megan, I mentioned they're a 2-horse race against Wisconsin in the West, and that's because they get the Wisconsin game at home. I think that right there is going to be the determining factor on who gets to go to the Big Ten championship. I make fun of Kirk Ferentz more than any college football coach ever, mainly because he hasn't done anything super exciting, but he hasn't done anything really bad since I've been following college football this last 20 plus years. I think you're right about Petrus. I think he's going to be fine. He's serviceable. Phil Parker needs to get a big pat on the back because he is an absolute and utter defensive genius. And that is what wins these games for Iowa. I think they can win 10 games again this year, Megan. They've got 7 starters on offense, 7 starters on defense. I like the experience level here from this team. And it's either them or Wisconsin to win the West. And I think either one of those teams could either give Michigan or Ohio State a run for their money in the Big Ten championship game.
All right, speaking of a run for their money, Minnesota up next. They are sitting at 7.5 wins. The over is -143. PJ Fleck, 2-3 years ago now, got every single person in the United States to row that boat. Everyone was so in on the Gophers, me included. And I think this season is going to be I don't want to say a breakout season, but they have, I think, six-year seniors on this team that are essentially ready to make a move or move on with their lives. PJ Fleck is one of the most motivational motherfuckers that I've heard speak. He literally speaks from his nutsack, and I absolutely love that. O-line lost a couple of key pieces, but I think it'll still be okay there. As I said, they're sitting at 7.5. I lean the over, but I'm not going to pay -143 on a season future. But I do think Minnesota is not going to have as much credit be given as much credit as they should be.
Yeah, I'm with you. Minnesota 2019, Megan, was so great. God, they were so good. They were like my money maker. And then last year, first game of the season, they lose their star running back, who is back for this year. And that should be exciting for this team. I think anytime you lose a star player game one, it's going to kind of affect the team a little negatively. Luckily for me, they still covered, and I was very happy about that one. But I do think Minnesota has a chance to have a breakthrough season. I know I mentioned I thought it was kind of a 2-horse race between Iowa and Wisconsin, but I think Minnesota's just right there, getting a little dirt kicked in her face, but she has the opportunity to make that pass on the outside. Again, big, huge PJ Fleck fan over here. I can't even talk today, Megan.
It's okay.
That being said, I think that they can go over their season win total. You got to have everybody stay healthy. But yeah, as far as returning guys on both sides of the ball, I think they have a potential to be a division contender.
All right, up next, Michigan State. Michigan State is sitting at 7.5. Win total sitting at 7.5. The over is -139. What do you think about this team?
I think they have a lot of momentum, Megan. Last year, they looked really good. They had a good bowl game. Right now, they're ranked in the top 15. I don't know if they're in the top 15. Their offensive line has some question marks, but I think they have a lot of talent, and they now have a more experienced O-line than last year, and that should help. Well, we'll see. Have them have a good season. But I'm not sold on Sparty just yet. This is kind of one of those question mark teams here in the Big Ten that could they surprise everybody again and have a double-digit win season? Sure. I just don't know if I see it. This is a Michigan State team that I think should win probably 8 games, maybe 9. We'll see how it goes for them. I don't have a big opinion here.
The only opinion I have is there's a fucking clown in the chat named John Westcott. We don't
in the
use
chat. See, I'm so
we
mad
don't
about
use
that.
the application anymore. We had a very rocky start. You can definitely tell the difference between Kelly and I because she sounds a lot smarter than me. And actually, I shouldn't look at her because she's not the host and neither am I. We're co-hosts, motherfucker. On to what I like. Michigan State.
And now Megan wonders why we usually broadcast from Twitch. You know,
Rich people
if
are
you're on
nice.
Facebook at 1:26 Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to go ahead and guess you got a lot of free time on your hands.
A lot of free time. Do you have anything to say about Purdue or Indiana? Because I don't. I do have a hot take about Maryland, though, because we got about
hot take about Maryland. I'll let you get on with that really quick, Megan. Purdue, man, love them still from last year. I appreciate all of those underdog wins. I love Jeff Brom. He is one of my favorite coaches in the Big Ten, but they've lost some guys, right? And I think that they're going to be a fight to the bottom here with some of the other teams in the West.
Your number two wide receiver can't even play because he's not even fucking eligible because he isn't good at school. I get that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Let me see what other notes that I had. Purdue basically overachieved last year because they had a lot of starters returning. That's not the case this year. I'm not high on Purdue. Purdue is a team that I think is well coached. And when you have a well coached team, Megan, you can definitely supersede expectations. So I'm not betting on Purdue, but I'm going to find those underdog spots where I think they can get that outright win at home.
All right. Up next, I have nothing to say about Indiana. I would bet the under, but it's too juice. No, thank you. I feel like Indiana will be, I'm going to call it now, literally like the worst in the conference. I don't know why I feel it so deep in my soul, but I do. But I'll move.
You think they're going to be worse than Rutgers?
You know what? I'm saying yes, just because I love TJ Hitchings, and I hope you're in the chat, TJ. I love you. But my hot
is not in the chat. But
and we also know John Westcott isn't either, motherfucker. Really quick though, my hot take is the scorching hot, but I think that Maryland will beat Ohio State on November 19th. Why? Because you know who Ohio State plays the week before they play them? They play Michigan. Indiana.
Oh, they play Indiana the week before.
Indiana the week before that.
Now maybe I should have this open so I can actually see when they really do play
Indiana before then they go ahead and they have the look-ahead game to Michigan. So Maryland is in that spot, and Tua's little brother, who I will always call Tua's little brother, was actually pretty fantastic last year. I mean, Maryland beat teams that, they were supposed to, then got fucking clobbered by ones that they, were. But I will say that I think this is a spot. My hot take is that Maryland will beat Ohio State November 19th.
I don't know if they're going to beat them, Megan, but I do like that sandwich spot. And something I like to do, guys, is everybody knows I get like a million college football magazines, right? And what I really love is to do this. I print off all the schedules because I'm a fucking lunatic, and I highlight so I know each week. And Megan, very good point. Wouldn't have normally thought that was a sandwich spot, but I like that.
They're not going to have.
They're just at Maryland. What's the big deal?
Well, it's going to be such a lull at like Indiana. They're going to be like, whatever, no real reps. Then you get Maryland, who again they don't think they'll have any real reps against, and then you have the Big Ten champs that they have to play the week after that. So it's like that's just my hot take. I know, crazy. Do you have anything else that you want to? Anything else you want to add to the Big Ten before we get out of here? Because we do have a meeting we all have to get to.
No, I'm good, Megan. The Big Ten is, like I said, there's about 4 or 5 teams I could make a really big case for here. I apologize. I have not bet that many futures bets in college football. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing Megan's conference, the SEC. I'm also doing Fantasy Football Factory with Mintz and Stephen Che. So if you want to revisit some of the NFL futures bets and or season win totals, and any basically player props that I'm betting for the entire season, make sure you guys check that out. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be filming it. I'll make sure to retweet it. And I got to really study up on my SEC tonight because Megan is going to fucking school me.
I will not school you because Mincy will be here, and Mincy will probably school the both of us because that's probably all he's been doing the last 24 hours is just thinking about SEC football, making himself happy.
Oh, that's all he's been thinking about the last 24 hours is SEC football.
Second thing I want to point out there before we get out of here, it is Long Ball Thursday, so go ahead. Head on over to the Barstool Sportsbook. Make sure you opt in. Place a $25 wager on a player to hit a home run. If the player does, obviously you get that fat cash. If he doesn't, but his team wins, you get your $25 back. That's pretty cool to me. I took Paul Goldschmidt for a 4th week in a row. Last week, he was just twice inches away.
So close.
Home run. So we'll see you guys back here tomorrow talking the SEC. We'll have Mincy joining us. Don't forget about Long Ball Thursdays. We love you and thank you to Skrill, best digital wallet.